Pete, what's it been like to play alongside Justin Hilliard these last couple of weeks? And you've known him a long time and everything he's been through. How much does he mean to your unit?
Yeah, when you talk about Justin, he's a guy that kind of welcomed me into the university. He was a guy that we've had really fun times together. To see his improvements throughout the season and the way he's playing and operating on the football field is crazy to think. You talk about all the injuries, everything through adversity he's gone through. To see the level of play he's going with right now, it's crazy to think about, but I credit the kid and his hard work and how much he loves this team. It's just great playing alongside with him.
Next up is Griffin Strom. Griffin?
Hey, Pete. I'm wondering what you guys have seen from Mayan Williams in the back half of the season. I think some people might have been surprised to see him, get some huge carries in the Sugar Bowl, in the Big Ten championship game, to kind of jump a couple guys on the depth chart. What are you guys seeing from and how his game has evolved?
Yeah, he's a guy that's been working really hard in practice, and we've kind of seen it through him getting reps here and there and just excelling very well against our defense. So when you run the ball like he does in practice, you got to put him in game situations, and in the times he has been in the game, he's done very well. If he continues to keep practicing as well as he has been and being that contributor for the offense, and to be a backup, a really big backup spot, then he's going to keep excelling in the game.
Next up is Nathan Baird. Nathan?
Sorry, Pete, you guys are obviously coming off of a performance where you contained Travis Etienne pretty well. Just curious, any similarities or differences you see in the challenge now of going against Najee Harris, both rushing and receiving, I guess?
Yeah, so they compare pretty close. They're both two of the top backs in the country. The thing to look more about Najee Harris, he's more of a physical guy, but then we have certain things to prep for that. The guys are a little bit different, but as long as we do what we did for ETN, then I think we'll be very good stopping him.
Next up is Pat Murphy. Patrick?
Pete, throughout the year, this linebacking crew has gotten a lot of praise, but I think it's really increased these last few weeks. The Alabama guys we talked about earlier, we're talking about your guys' athleticism and whatnot. What do you think has been the main reason behind kind of the evolution and the continued development of your guys' group throughout the season?
I just think that we are a group of guys that love the game of football. Our knowledge for the game increases every single day, and our communication has increased so much to this point where you can put a lot of things on the linebackers, and we're willing to get everything done. Our communication, knowledge of the game, everything like that. If you look at the first game and then now this game, we've improved so much because we've taken that coaching and we've gone with it, and we put more things on the table. The coaches put things on the linebackers' table and a lot more towards the end of the season because they know that we're capable of doing it. And I just credit our coaches and the other linebackers on the field because we're really capable of doing many things, and I think it's helped us show the country that the linebackers are our linebackers are a strength.
Next up is Zachary Braziller. Zach?
Pete, you look at the year that Harris had, it seems like he's almost, underrated because of all the talent they have. You mentioned similarities to Etienne, but what really stands out about him and why he's been so successful?
I think that they have a great game plan on offense to get him the ball in a variety of ways. Their offensive line, I credit them a lot, but he's very patient. He's a very patient back, and he finds the holes. And it might look cloudy at sometimes, but then you see him get 6, 7, 8 yards when he should have gotten 0. He's a very good back. He's good at making you miss, and they just do a very good job utilizing him in the run-in pass game to make him a real threat from a defensive perspective.
Next is Kyle Neddenriep. Kyle? Kyle, you're still on mute.
Sorry. Hey, Pete, probably a pretty rare occasion where you have two high school teammates going against each other with you and Emil out there in the national championship Monday. Just what are your memories going against Emil in practices and what makes him such a special player?
Yeah, so I remember Emil, his dad was our defense coordinator. He was a D-line coach, so I'm really, really close friends with that family and Emil. And he's a guy, he's a good kid, and he works really hard. You think he's big, this big guy, and then he can move super well. It's going to be fun playing against him because I never envisioned playing him. But I'm excited and I'm ready to get after him. We've talked a little bit, so we're ready to get after each other.
All right. Next is Tim May. Tim?
Pete, how crazy is it as you sit here in January? This is the game you guys wanted to get to way back in February of a year ago, and all you've been through and stuff. I know you've still got one more game, but to get to this game, your parents fought for it, etc. Have you had? I know you've reflected a little bit on maybe how this has come to fruition. 1 versus 2, Alabama, Ohio State, just like a lot of people thought it would be in the first place.
Yeah, you just think of everything that we've gone through to get to this point. Coaches continue to talk about it day by day throughout the weeks of practice, but going back to Zoom meetings and sitting as a team meeting, telling us that our season's canceled, to all the practices that we've put in as a team, the fact that we've stayed together and united together as a group so well, and the brotherhood that it's shown, I credit the guys, and we're just thankful to be in the position that we are in right now. But a lot of reflecting in positive ways, going back to many things to get us to this point now. You just got to credit so many different people and the guys staying together to really have one goal in mind, which is this. So we just got to keep focusing, keep grinding together as a unit, and we'll be ready for Monday.
Next will be Dan Hope. Dan?
Hey, Pete, Alabama's offensive line just won the Joe Moore Award for, being the best offensive line in the country. So what's it like preparing to go up against an offensive line like that?
It's not anything different. We've seen it every single day in practice. We like to compare our offensive line to their offensive line. So it's going to be very similar. We butt heads with our offensive line, and I'm sure it was neck and neck with our offensive line versus their offensive line, and I like to agree that they're very similar. But that being said, we just got to keep going against our guys. We've seen it. We know what it's like. So we're ready to get after them. But I credit them. Very good offensive line, very disciplined, and very aggressive getting off the ball.
All right. Bill Landis. Bill, you're up.
Hey, Pete, it seems like Alabama's offense gives teams a lot to look at in terms of, motions and formation. What's the key when you're playing against a team that is going to have that sort of late motion at the snap, guys sort of like flying toward the sideline and stuff like that? Like, have you seen a team that does that yet this year, and just what's the challenge of playing against it?
Yeah, so they do a good job trying to get the defense out of place. We just got to do a great job. Simply, we got to do a great job of tracking the ball. We got to be good tacklers. We got to have our feet in the ground when they're trying to not get our feet in the ground with all the shifts and everything that they do. So we got to get through it. Got to keep practicing hard, and then we'll be ready.
All right. And our final question is from David Jones. David?
Pete, I know you deal more with Al Washington than you do with Larry Johnson, but Larry has his fingerprints on the defense just in general. What makes him different, if anything, unique as a teacher, as a communicator?
he's very close with all of his guys on the defensive line. I know that from experience. I wasn't very close with him my freshman, sophomore year, but I have gotten very close with him because of the third down situations and things like that. But he's a guy that really gets close with his players, and you got to build up trust with him. He's not a guy that he's just going to love you right when you get here. He's going to be a guy that takes a lot of trust to get him to like you, to know you, so you can go out and execute. And that's what you got to do, is you got to execute to get on his good side. And he's just a great coach. And as you can see, he's produced a lot of guys at the next level, but he's a really good coach to have. His knowledge of the game has translated to me personally to help me be a better player. But yeah, he's an excellent coach, just a great guy to be around, although I'm not around him as much as Al Washington.